I'm Chimwemwe Mangazi with Business Time on Times. It is a magazine program where we bring you major business and economic news stories making headlines.
Insuring and saving with Old Mutual means growing crops, growing jobs, growing a future. Creating mutual futures, your money invested for the good of all.
In the program today, Malawi Economic Justice Network Magin says the government is not doing enough in reducing public debt. Also in the program, private sector speaks on expectations from the upcoming budget review meeting of Parliament. We have these and other stories. Stay tuned. Hello and welcome. Malawi Economic Justice Network Magin says the government is not doing enough in reducing public debt. The network said this in Blantyre during a consultative meeting aimed at establishing a civil society-based strategy for debt reduction. Magin Executive Director Betha Piri explains more to our journalist Justin Well.
Present a platform, or we arranged a platform where civil society organizations in the southern region would like to actually come up with an engagement strategy, an advocacy strategy on debt in Malawi. This is under a background that we are doing a project under debt justice, where I would like to foster transparency and accountability in debt contraction, but also management of the same. And so we take note of the status quo, which is not very encouraging. Malawi, including several other countries, are in debt distress. And then we would like to see how best can we complement government's effort, how best can we mount our energy to actually advocate for possible debt restructuring mechanisms, but also to track the duty bearers, as in how best we can make sure our debt now becomes sustainable vis-a-vis the status quo of the public debt. You heard it rightly that some of the measures that are put in place by government through the debt and aid department. But then measures in place, yes, but how far, how has been the progress so far? That's our interest. So there are measures in place. They say they will be producing a mid-year report in which we can ascertain as in whether government is really doing enough or not. But measures in place can be put, but what are the efforts towards the same? We, however, have heard that there are some measures like the debt retirement mechanism that government is willing or is planning to retire debt from its debt retirement fund window. But also the talks around the extended credit facility. The language is that if we get that given from the IMF, part of the debt would actually be siphoned. But the question is that free money? It's not free money at all. It's another debt, servicing another debt. So all we're saying is we need the concerted efforts as civil society organizations as how we can actually engage and be part of the restructuring mechanism given the platform. Pretty much that's why we are here, that going forward, are we really implementing these mechanisms in place? So what would be want to do going forward is to advocate more, to say, can we be up to actions other than just strategies and talks? Can we be up to actions? Already we have set aside some conversations with the IMF and World Bank on the same, because this project is not only in Malawi, but we are also championing it at both region and at continent level. So scheduled conversations that are in place already with the key actors like the multilateral lenders, IMF and World Bank.
Malawi Confederation of Chambers of Commerce and Industry, MCCCI, and the Institute of Chartered Accountants in Malawi, ICAM, have emphasized the need to encourage exports and enhance local production to anchor the economy in the last half of the 2023-2024 financial year. This is coming at a time Parliament prepares for its budget review meeting scheduled to commence on November 13, 2023. We have more in this report.
Industry captains and other experts have high expectations to see the Treasury realigning budget lines with reality, a task which would require sacrifices. For instance, the Malawi Confederation of Chambers of Commerce and Industry, an umbrella body for private sector players, says it expects budget adjustments to tilt towards enhancing productivity and exports development. And the Institute of Chartered Accountants in Malawi Chief Executive Officer Noor Zigowa says to enhance productivity, the government should make the most of various opportunities within the agricultural sector.
Thank you. As ICAM, we have expectations from the budget review, and most importantly is to look how the economy has performed in the past half of the year, such that there are areas that have to be addressed. There are also areas that the government has done very well, and we also have to look at how can we capitalize on the areas that the government has done well. Basically, firstly, we can see that the economy has been growing, but at a very slow pace. And the growth of this economy has not helped many people. From those that are in business, be it small sector business or even like sector business, they have been affected. And the way how they've been affected is that look at the interest rates, the way how they have grown, they have skyrocketed, as well as inflation, it has gone up very high, such that the cost of doing business has become very expensive. When we are to say that the economy is growing, all sectors have to be responding positively to the economic environment. As such, we are experiencing several flaws in the economy. Be it our economy is predominantly importing, and the forex issues have been topical every day. Banks have been struggling even to get enough forex to save their customers. And at the same time, the cost of doing business has gone up a lot, because even getting the forex, the parallel market is now flourishing, which is not good for the economy, because when the cost of doing business is very high, it means even the local products are also expensive. Well, that's why people rush for products that are of inferior quality, and that is also affecting even small businesses. So every sector of the business has been affected. So we are expecting that the mid-year review is going to address some of the challenges that the economy at large is facing.
But Minister of Finance Simplex Chicholabanda says the government's focus will remain on controlling expenditure.
Expenditure controls. We cannot just spend anyhow. We need to become a bit more physical disciplined. We want to make sure that we add value for money to each and every activity that we are doing. I know that I cannot preempt much of what I want to do when I go to Parliament this November. But key to this is how we convince development partners to come and start giving us the budgetary support. That can only be done if they see that we are practicing physical discipline. And that is one of the key issues that I want to see when we meet during the mid-year term review.
Already, the national budget is off rail as almost all parameters have gone rogue, with glaring mismatches between assumptions anchoring the financial plan and realities on the ground.
This is Business Time on Times, brought to you by Old Mutual. We'll be right back.
Ku Malawi timanena kuti chuma chili munthaka, ndipo izi ndizoona. Mutha kuziona zimene pali ponse. Dzina langa ndi Chris Gadimani, ndipo ndimayang'anira banja langa pogwira ntchito ku Galamax Macadamia Nut Farm. Zonse zimayambira pa Nazale pano. Timasamalira mphukira kuti tikwanitse kudzala mitengo yambiri. Mitengo iyi ikakula, timasankhamo mtedza wabwino kwambiri okhaokha. Timafuna kuti mtedza wa makademiya wa ku Malawi uzidziwika kuti ndi wabwino koposa. Chilichonse pa famu pano chimagwira ntchito kuti zinthu ziziyenda bwino. Mitengo yathu imayeretsa mpweya. Njuchi zathu zimathandiza mitengo kubereka zipatso. Amayi amundera amakolola uchi m'ming'oma. Ndipo ndalama zina zimathandiza sukulu ya pafamu pano. Timaphunzitsa ana zonse zokhudza mtedza wa makademiya. Tikakolola kwambiri timalembanso ntchito anthu ambiri. Ndimakhala onyadira kukhala nawo otenga mbali mu zimenezi.
From the soil comes endless possibilities. Growing crops, growing jobs, growing Malawi. Your money invested for the good of all. We call this creating mutual futures. Old Mutual, let's do great things every day.
Minister of Trade and Industry, Chimwemwe, has reiterated that Malawi is not a dumping site. He has since urged the Malawi Bureau of Standards to up its game in protecting consumers. Justin Kweo reports.
Malawi is a predominantly importing and consuming nation, highly dependent on exporting raw agricultural materials, with tobacco being the main export. Over time, Malawi has been importing, but it has not been without smuggling of goods into the country. Chimwemwe said indeed there has been a proliferation of fake products which are smuggled into the country, which is a risk to consumers of the goods because some of them do not meet Malawi standards. Chimwemwe added that apart from posing as a health threat, it affects local producers of similar goods because the smuggled goods do not pay for some requirements, making them cheaper.
This was a rallying call to all patriotic Malawians that we look at the issue of Malawi becoming a dumping site for counterfeit products and smuggled products because they are really posing a huge threat to our own survival as an economy, because once products are coming in and they're not paying any duty to government and they're not having any compliance costs as local companies do to Malawi Bureau of Standards, to MRA, it means they are undercutting those that are trying to produce locally. And you would see that our local private sector is struggling to keep up their market share because there's too much proliferation, I would call it dumping, of too many products as you would see in our markets. And apart from government struggling to collect revenue, the other main problem is that our local companies, they're also failing to produce. And if they can't produce, if they can't value add, they can't really export. And we cannot be a country that has no exports apart from agricultural raw products. We need companies that can value add, companies that can manufacture things, companies that can sell those kind of products. And it's becoming very, very hard for our private sector to breathe up until this issue of smuggling and this issue of counterfeit products is really checked. And we believe that the Malawi Bureau of Standards can be the institution that can champion this agenda to make sure that Malawi should not be a dumping site, and our private sector should be given a fair chance of competing and retaining, even increasing their market share, reinvesting in the country, creating more jobs and creating more exports and getting us more foreign exchange in return. So basically here with the Malawi Bureau of Standards, we're trying to engage patriotic Malawians that even as MBS does the market surveys, as they look at products that are counterfeit, products that are smuggled in this country. We should be able to share information so that in the end we do something for the good of our economy.
MBS Board Chairperson Davrin Chokazinga expressed the Bureau's commitment to helping government in reducing the presence of smuggled goods. Chokazinga said going forward, they are strategizing and increasing their efforts to make sure that substandard products are flushed out of the market.
The minister has actually spoken very strongly in this case, and he has emphasized that the Malawi Bureau Standard is the key institution to try and help the nation stamp out substandard products that are coming into the country. And from now on, as a bureau, we are going to strategize very strongly to ensure that any substandard product that is coming on the market, we will take a stiff punishment. We will invoke the law that is at hand to make sure that only standard compliant products are coming in, and are coming in through the normal channels. They have paid tax. As you have heard, if we don't collect tax, the economy of this country will collapse. And the Malawi Bureau Standards will definitely strategize from now on to make sure that we are on the market, undertaking market surveillances. That will definitely make sure that those who would like to bring in substandard products or anything that is not compliant to the Malawi standards, they will think twice. This is what we are going to do in order to help the local industry also thrive, because as the minister has said, it means we are undercutting the local companies that are producing within the law. So at the Bureau, we have heard it. We are going to strategize and put up strategies, and you will see what sort of action we will take soon after this.
Malawi depends heavily on imported goods, but over time there have been an increase in smuggled goods from neighboring countries and beyond.
The electricity generation company Egenco is exploring potential of harnessing geothermal energy in selected sites across the country. Acting Chief Executive Officer Maxon Chitao announced the organization's intention to collaborate with the Geothermal Development Company of Kenya to investigate the viability of geothermal energy in Malawi.
Chitao revealed that Malawi boasts 66 hot water springs scattered across the country, though not all of them possess the potential for geothermal energy production.
Yeah, as a company, we are looking at diversifying our energy source. As we have heard in the speech, we have now signed an MOU, a framework with the Geothermal Development Company of Kenya, GDC. We want them to come and help us to explore the potential of using geothermal, because we have a number of hot springs in Malawi. We have about 66 sites in Malawi of hot springs, but not all of them have the potential. So I look at those which have potential. For example, at Chiweta, we have a good hot spring, which water comes from the ground at 6 degrees. We have another one at Kasitu, and another one at Nkora Boma. So we're looking at all those to explore if they can give us energy from geothermal and add it to the grid. So that's one area.
President of the Renewable Energy Industries Association of Malawi, Sosten Chigalu, emphasized the importance of diversifying energy sources, particularly in the face of climate change challenges.
We have to as well explore other passive alternative energy of sources, geothermal, wind, biogas to generate electricity, and as well even to explore storage of that energy when the energy has been generated. Perhaps we need to keep it, we need to store it, not just temporarily, but you can even keep it for a longer period of time. The other areas of actually diversification of energy is in other infrastructure, how we run our companies and industries. Look at transportation. We have to look as well as how can we diversify our transportation from fossil fuels running on diesel and petrol to other energy of sources. So we are seeing on the market coming in of electric vehicles. We need to promote that type of diversification, because at the very same time we are diversifying our energy sources.
According to the World Bank, in 2022, Malawi ranked 4th lowest in energy access in Africa, just ahead of South Sudan, Chad and Burundi.
With that item, we've come to the end of today's edition of Business Time. It is a magazine program where we bring you major business and economic news stories making headlines in the country. On behalf of the entire production team, I'm Chimwemwe Mangazi. But always remember, if it doesn't make money, it doesn't make sense. Bye for now.
Brought to you by Old Mutual. Creating mutual futures, your money invested for the good of all.